Hey everybody, it's me, Will.
And me, Kristen.
And welcome to a live recording of Guide to the Unknown. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right into the episode proper. Thank you all for being patient. We're sorry we couldn't record with a live audience this week. Hope you're all well.
Yes. All right, let's do it.
Start the show.
Hello. Are you going to listen to a podcast? Do you like scary podcasts? What's your favorite scary podcast? Well, it better be Guide to the Unknown.
Hello, welcome to Guides to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week we are going to be talking through the search and rescue Reddit thread that if you're into creepy stuff online, it's totally possible you've come across.
Yeah, this is a famous creepypasta that I don't think I was aware of at all.
I was aware of it. I've had friends personally, my friend Sarah, one of my besties,
Okay.
sent me a long time ago. Brittany, who's part of our Patreon, actually asked us to do this like months ago, and you and I just weren't really feeling it that month or whatever. But this month we were ready.
We were able to make the space.
And we also want to say that as this episode comes out, it is Brittany's birthday. So happy birthday, Brittany.
My God, happy birthday,
That's
Brittany.
right.
That's
Brittany,
exciting.
Brittany was part of our planning session last month, and so they knew that it was coming up on the date that it was coming, and they said, guess what? That's my birthday.
How appropriate.
So that's why we know.
Everything happens for a reason.
How appropriate. Actually, while I'm talking about planning sessions, I may as well mention that if you're listening to this in real time on August 6th when it comes out, if you are a member of our Patreon, we are doing our monthly planning live stream this evening at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's where we plan out our next month of episodes along with the chat of patrons. So go to patreon.com/GTTUpod and become another World Warrior if you want in on that tonight.
Yeah, set a reminder. Come join us and let your ideas be heard. You can guide the future of the next month of shows.
They can guide the unknown potentially.
You can guide the unknown. So this thread,
Yes.
we've done this not a ton where we talk about creepypastas, but I do want to, it's been a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I think it's worth explaining for people maybe who don't know. I use the term creepypasta as if we all agree, we all know what this is.
Right.
It basically amounts to people used to just almost like sharing memes. They would share scary stories that were written online. Some of them were known as copy pastas because it's copy pasting the same story over and over. The scary stories became known as creepy pastas. And so that's how you get this goofy name for a thing that we all know now as internet urban legends or internet scary stories. Now we have done this before a little bit, way back on Guide to the Unknown episode 4. Way in the beginning, I just flat out read the story, The Red Grandfather. We covered Five Nights at Freddy's in episode 85, Dear David in 91, The Sun Vanished in 107, The Jejune Institute in 123, and the SCP Foundation most recently in episode 147.
And the Greg thread.
The Greg thread. I forgot about the Greg
I don't know
thread.
what episode that was, but if you go back through our archives, you'll be able to find the Greg thread.
I'll look it up because the
Okay.
Greg thread, I remember we had a lot of egg jokes.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Also, if you're part of our Patreon already, you get access to a database of all of the Guide to the Unknown episodes that's searchable. So you can also go there.
It was 92. Episode 92.
Cool. So yeah, we're coming home.
Yeah, it feels nice.
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
So let me kick it off. What we're going to do is there are 8 threads on Reddit to this story. So I'm going to read and kind of summarize to William the odd numbered threads, and he's going to do the even. So we're going to pass back and forth.
And I think this is going to be interesting because I do think there is some crossover among them, or at
Yeah.
least that's the sense that I got. But each one of these stories was written by Carrie Hammond under the username Search and Rescue Woods on Reddit starting in 2015. And some of them were even adapted into the sci-fi show Channel Zero.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
I know. And also these were compiled into a book.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Okay, I saw that at one point. I was doing such weird rabbit hole research. I could see people being like, I'm trying to make this a book, and then the link was dead.
Yeah.
It's
I
such an
know.
old story.
I know. The thing is...
Old, 2015. But you know what I mean? For internet, in the internet parlance, links pointing to nowhere and stuff like that. It's just the case for this story.
I think that Carrie Hammond was saying that they wanted to kind of novelize it into a book, But as it is right now, the book is really just a compendium in book form of the posts on the No Sleep Reddit.
Oh, cool.
So it's a book, but it's not a novel. So
Right
I don't
on.
know what happened to that novelization thing. That I saw that they posted about that before Channel Zero.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, right?
Yep.
So maybe they just decided to go with that. But
Yeah, who knows? But either
knows?
way, it seems to be a pretty like successful endeavor.
Absolutely.
And I think Carrie also wrote a bunch of other satellite stories, so maybe that's part of the book as well. But this is the core search and rescue thread Kristen and I are talking about today.
Totally. All right, so let's start with part 1. And I'm going to do a mixture of... This also isn't every single thing from the threads.
Sure.
We kind of picked and chose our favorite stories from them. And I'll be doing a mix of like summarizing and some direct quoting.
Yeah, I'm doing sort of the same thing. Honestly, for me, it was just kind of fun to read a modern scary story that I wasn't aware of. And I've got even like I started pulling in references of like where I've seen stories like this before. So I'll be giving people some like recommendations of other stuff to check out.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so here is how it started, and this part is verbatim. I'm a search and rescue officer for the U.S. Forest Service. I have some stories to tell. That was the subject line. I wasn't sure where else to post these stories, so I figured I'd share them here. I've been an SAR officer for a few years now, and along the way I've seen some things that I think you guys will be interested in. I have a pretty good track record for finding missing people. Most of the time they just wander off the path or slip down a small cliff, and they can't find their way back. The majority of them have heard the old stay where you are thing, and they don't wander far. But I've had 2 cases where that didn't happen. Both bother me a lot, and I use them as motivation to search even harder on the missing person cases I get called on.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So the first story that they tell is about a brother and sister, like young kids, who went missing when they wandered off from a family berry picking sesh. Lots of berry picking sessions.
Really?
Yes, that must be a very popular thing to do where, and by the way, this is all
Just in the forest?
I don't know. This is all fictional.
Yeah.
By the way, it's written as though it's real, but it's
Yes,
fictional.
yeah.
But in this fictional world where they don't give the name of the park that they work at or whatever, it's a lot of kids going missing while berry picking.
You gotta be careful.
yeah.
There's almost like you gotta consider the odds of in this town if you send your kid out to go berry picking.
It's not looking great.
It's not looking. They don't have good odds. They're
No.
either gonna come back with berries or not at all.
Exactly.
Are the berries really worth it?
I don't know.
Those must be some good berries.
Must be something else. So they were able to find the daughter pretty quickly, but then when they asked where the brother was, she said to them that he had been taken away by the bear man.
Oh God.
She told them that he gave her berries and told her to stay quiet and that he wanted to play with her brother for a while.
Ugh.
The last she saw of her brother, he was riding on the shoulders of the bear man and seemed very calm. So their first thought, of course, was abduction by
Yeah.
a human. But they never found a trace of anyone else in the area. And the little girl was insistent that he wasn't just like any normal man, that he was tall and completely covered in hair like a bear and had a weird face. They searched the area for weeks and weeks, but they never found the kid.
Ooh.
So another story is a case of a woman who got separated from her hiking group, and then when they found her, she was curled up underneath a rotten log. She was missing her shoes and her hiking pack, and she wasn't injured, but she was in shock, and they walked her back to the base once they found her. So, I'll just say Carrie says.
Yeah.
Carrie said that along the way that the missing woman kept looking behind them and asking why, quote, that big man with black eyes was just following them. They couldn't see anybody, so they just sort of figured that it was a symptom of shock, like something weird was going on. But then the closer that they got to the base, the woman got more and more worked up, and she asked Carrie to tell the man to stop making faces at her. And at one point, she stopped and turned around and started yelling into the forest that she wanted the man to leave her alone. She said to him that she wasn't going to go with him, and she wouldn't give the group to him. I won't give you them.
Oh, it's her. It would be up to her.
I mean, I don't know. I that means, I guess, the man was like, you come with me. All right, then give them to me.
But isn't it weird that he's like, I can't get them unless I have you do it
that's
for
true.
me?
Yeah,
That's what I mean. Like, he's trying to, like Blair. Obviously, all this stuff makes me think about Blair Witch a lot.
Right.
It's scary stuff in the woods. It makes me think about that show I wrote, Blackwood.
Yep.
Which recently I've been thinking a lot about. I've got Blackwood on the brain.
It's a hell of a show.
It's a hell of a show.
Yeah.
Go listen to
Show
Blackwood.
as in podcast.
Yes,
So go
I
find the
wrote an
podcast.
audio drama called Blackwood, a 6-episode miniseries. Go check it out. I'm thinking about it a lot right now.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
So, yeah, just weird stuff. So they keep on moving toward the base, and all of a sudden they start hearing these weird noises coming from all over the place. Carrie described it as being almost like coughing, but more rhythmic and deeper. It was almost insect-like. I don't really know how else to describe it. And then when they were within sight of the base, the woman turned to her, and her eyes were about as wide as I can imagine a human could open them. She touched Carrie's shoulder and said, "He says to tell you to speed up. He doesn't like looking at the scar on your neck."
What?
And Carrie says that she does have a scar on her neck, but it was underneath her clothes, so she doesn't know how this woman saw it to even make that up. So super creepy. And the author talks about how also that sound kind of picked up again all around them, this like close kind of coughing sound in her ear, and she was able to deposit the woman safely, but it was a super, super weird incident.
A coughing sound in her ear.
The same kind of coughing sound, like that rhythmic insect-like cough.
Now
rattly.
Arguably, the one thing that I call an odd experience that I had was somebody coughing in my ear.
I thought you said it was breathing. What are you talking about?
Oh, cough, breathe.
What? Those are totally different things.
Maybe a stretch.
A complete stretch.
That's what it made me think of.
Yeah, I mean, it happened in your
Somebody
ear.
breathing right behind you, I guess. Coughing felt, it's vocal enough.
It's more specific.
Fine.
Feeling,
but it made me think
feeling
of it.
a breath.
I'm sorry it's not a direct one-to-one. It made me think of it.
Okay. That's all right. Also, in part one, something that ends up coming up in a lot of these other threads is that Carrie talks about how it's a known thing among forest rangers that there are random stairs.
Yeah.
Oftentimes just in the middle of the woods, and it's also just commonly known that you're not supposed to touch them because that could make bad things happen.
That's interesting. So that dovetails nicely into part two, because
Perfect.
part two, now I didn't read part one at all. I haven't read any of the odd numbered ones actually. So it's going to be sort of fun to see how these all sort of tie together as we go. But part two is all about the stairs. It was a fun story, honestly. As I was reading it, it made me think about trying to maybe dive back into creepypastas. At a certain point, there just got to be so many of them.
Yeah.
It was hard to find the ones that would actually send a chill up my spine or intrigue me. Or anyway, so here's what part two is. Carrie, who all of this is written in first person, but again, we'll just say Carrie. Talks about finding a set of stairs in the middle of the woods. Literally a staircase with nothing around it. In this story, she describes it almost being like a video game glitch, almost as if there's supposed to be a whole house, but the house didn't load. Only the staircase was populated into the game.
Yeah.
It's just standing free. And they were standing with a trainer who started to warn them about staying away from them. So here's from the story itself, describing at first the stairs. The sides aren't carpeted, and I can see the wood it's made of. It's almost like a video game glitch where the house has failed to load. I stand there, and it's like my brain is working overtime to try and make sense of what I'm seeing. My trainer comes and stands next to me. She just stands there casually, looking at it as if it's the least interesting thing in the world. I ask her what the thing is doing here, and she just chuckles, saying, "Get used to it, rookie. You're going to see a lot of them." She, the trainer, then warns Carrie, don't go near them, do not climb them, just ignore them. Stay away. Eventually, Carrie's training is complete, and now they go out on calls themselves, and sometimes we'll see staircases here and there. Oh, I got a call, somebody went missing in the woods, I'll walk in 3 miles, there's a staircase. Maybe I'm going in 30 miles. Staircase.
Right? They just pop up.
Different kinds of staircases for some reason. Some are taller, some are shorter. Eventually they see one that's, quote, like a turn-of-the-century mansion, 10 feet wide with steps leading up about 15 or 20 feet. They avoid them altogether and eventually start training new people who are joining the team to stay away from them as well. The way this part ends is with the quote, "I'm really hoping someday I get a better answer, but it hasn't happened yet." So I've got a few thoughts on this, but I'll start with this. You're in training, and the person training you says, "Stay away from those woods. I can't get into it. Just trust me. Stay away." Or the stairs. Stay away from the stairs. Then eventually you've got people you're training yourself, and you tell them, "Keep away from the stairs." Now they keep away from the stairs, but they are like several generations removed from. They have no idea what's up with this, right?
Yeah.
Carrie doesn't know.
Doesn't seem like anybody
But
does.
we all say don't do it. There's a thing, and I couldn't figure out how to Google this. I started typing into Google, I started writing monkey business training, monkey theoretical, don't touch that train. I couldn't figure out how to Google this thing. There was a weird idea. I eventually found it under the title, The 5 Monkeys Experiment. Look in the show notes for a link to this from workingoutloud.com. There is a study that was done, Kristen. And it sounds awful, admittedly. 5 monkeys in a pen. And they put bananas up on a shelf with a ladder leading to the bananas. A monkey starts to climb the ladder to get to the bananas. The scientists spray cold water on the climbing monkey and all the monkeys below. Eventually, doing this enough times, anytime a monkey starts trying to climb the ladder to get to the bananas, the other monkeys down below will start pulling the monkey off the ladder and beating them to keep them from getting to the ladder. Now they intensify things. Further, I should say. They take one of the trained monkeys out. They put in just a new monkey who's not aware of this situation. Inevitably, they see bananas. Oh, I'd like to climb the ladder to get them. All the other monkeys pull them down, beat them to keep them from getting to the bananas, because otherwise we're going to get the cold water. Rinse, repeat, keep going. Take out one of the trained monkeys, put in a different monkey. Take out one of the trained monkeys, put in a different monkey. Eventually, you've got 5 monkeys in there who have never been sprayed with cold water. They don't know what happens if you do climb the ladder.
Yeah.
But still, if anyone starts to climb the ladder, they pull that monkey down and beat him to keep him from getting up there, because why?
That's what they've seen the other monkeys do.
It's what we do.
Yeah.
Now it's just what we do without any idea why we do it this way. It's evolution, but it's social. And it speaks to the idea that we all live by a set of rules, but we don't always push at the boundaries of them. Maybe we don't really know what would occur. So what is the staircase? My brain starts going, what is this thing? What is the staircase? And maybe it's not so much that you shouldn't touch them, but maybe this information has been lost to time in a way. It also made me think of the SCP Foundation, which again we talked about in a previous episode.
The stairs could totally be SCP files.
The stairs are a thing that somebody should be researching. And the last thing it made me think of, and this is admittedly goofier, but Carrie refers to this as almost being like a glitch, that stairs are just appearing out here. There was a time where I was really into the Matrix franchise, and they made a video game that was supposed to be, like, it was directed by the Wachowskis as well. Like, it was, they directed scenes and shot footage that was specific to the game but would interact with the sequels to the movie. And in it, they talk about how werewolves, vampires, ghosts, all of those things exist in the world of the Matrix. And it's whenever a program has been quote unquote deleted, but refuses to stay deleted. So they come back and they're now glitched.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be in the computer system of the Matrix. They're a weird glitchy program that doesn't work quite right. So they're like these 2 albino looking twins in one of the sequel movies. They're referred to as ghosts. In the world of the Matrix, they're literally ghosts.
Yeah.
They literally are phasing through walls and can turn transparent, and their version of ghosts is glitching.
Yeah.
But maybe in real life, ghosts are a sort of glitch.
Right.
You're not supposed to be here anymore, but here you are. And because you're not supposed to be here, you operate differently than the rest of us. We can see through you.
Yeah.
You can float through walls. Something is broken in this system now.
Totally.
Anyway, that's
cool.
That was part 2, which was my personal entryway into the story, and honestly, I found really fun and interesting. And it was quick and to the point,
Totally.
but a lot of fun.
I mean, I feel like these stories are kind of satisfying in general. Not all of them, but like the format of creepypastas that continue on, or Twitter stories and things like that, because they're not flowery or anything.
Right.
Like, they're under the pretense of like, oh, I'm just a person who's going to tell you a cool thing.
Yeah.
So it does get right to the point in a way that's like a unique storytelling.
Yeah, there almost aren't characters. You know, you're
Right,
like,
you're
I was with my trainer. It doesn't matter who that person is or
You
where
don't
they
have to
came
flesh
from.
it out. You just get right to the cool thing.
Right to the point, yep.
Totally. Okay, so now let's go into part 3. So at this point, Carrie is saying, I'm kind of tapped out of my own stories to a degree, but I decided to talk to some of my other Ranger friends and see what stories they have. And now Carrie is reiterating those to us through the Reddit thread. So they tell us a story about a friend who encountered the stairs. That friend said, quote, "They looked like they were from a new house because the carpeting was pristine and white. He said that as he got closer, he didn't feel any different or hear any weird noises. He was expecting something to happen, like bleeding from his ears or collapsing, but he got right up next to them and he didn't feel anything." So this guy said to Carrie that the weirdest thing besides their straight up existence, which is of course really weird, was that there was just zero debris or animal activity at all on them. There are no stray leaves, like no little moth-eaten sections, nothing. These are just pristine, perfect stairs, and it was very weird. So he decided to climb up them, kind of just for the hell of it, and he was sort of just tempted because it was such a thing that you're not supposed to do it. And so I guess he was a bit of a rascal. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do it. And he said that he half expected something crazy to happen when he got up there, like he was going to be abducted or something. But he said when he got up there, the longer that he stood on the top step, the more he just had the feeling that he was doing something very, very wrong. He described it as the feeling you'd get if you were in a part of a government building you have no business being in, as if someone was going to come and arrest you or shoot you in the back of the head at any second. Ew. So just this like, I shouldn't have done this.
I'm
like,
in the
this
wrong
is
place.
risky.
I've made a big mistake.
I'm going to get in trouble.
I'm in over my head.
Yeah, in some way. So the guy tried to brush it off, but the feeling just got stronger and stronger. And that's when he realized he couldn't hear anything. So not that the woods were silent, it's that he couldn't hear anything. He couldn't hear his own breathing, like his hearing was cut off. And it was like some sort of weird, awful tinnitus, but even more oppressive. So he got back down from the stairs. He rejoined the search that he had been a part of that brought him out there in the first place. And he didn't tell anybody what he'd done because it's like taboo. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
So he said, though, that the weirdest part of the whole thing came afterward. His trainer was waiting back at the Welcome Center after the search ended for the day, and he cornered Carrie's buddy before he could leave. He said his trainer had this look of intense anger, and he asked what was wrong. "You went up them, didn't you?" My buddy said it wasn't phrased as a question. He asked how his trainer knew, and the trainer just shook his head. "Because we didn't find her. The dogs lost her scent."
What?
My buddy asked what that had to do with anything. The trainer asked how long he'd been on the stairs, and my buddy said no more than a minute. The trainer gave him this really awful, almost dead-eyed look and told him that if he ever went up another set of stairs again, he'd be fired immediately. The trainer walked away, and I guess he's never asked any questions since.
Wow. So, okay, that's an odd development.
So that also makes it seem like you're not supposed to go up the stairs because they're not natural. Something could happen to you. It could be hindering finding somebody who's missing.
Yeah, almost as if you're closing a door behind a missing person. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Like that door is open, but if you climb the staircase, we're not going to find him anymore.
Right.
You've botched it.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
But it also implies that even like a mundane... I mean, I guess maybe this was just an example of not a... Like, what I'm thinking is, if somebody just genuinely got lost in the woods, right? Like, wandered down the wrong path, would this be what happens? Would they get whisked away to this other world? Or was this an example of, like, maybe some supernatural thing is the reason why somebody went missing? And then by climbing the supernatural staircase, it completed the supernatural ritual that made that person now impossible to find.
Or is it somewhat of the reverse where that person would have been found, but by climbing the staircase, that opens a supernatural door that person slips through?
Oh,
they would have
that's
been fine
interesting.
otherwise.
Right.
But because you did that, that opens some sort of portal.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, a staircase in and of itself, obviously, is a pathway to somewhere else. Usually it's from the first floor to the second floor, the second floor to the third floor, whatever. But if it's in the middle of the woods and it leads up to visually nothing, it just stops at the 10th step or whatever.
Yeah.
And you climb it. Yeah, are you almost now treating it like a pathway now? You should be ignoring it. But if you start using it the way stairs are meant to be used, like moving from one place to another...
It moves somebody else from one place to another. You know, there's that whole idea about supernatural happenings coming out of different spaces of liminality.
Okay.
So we talked about it on the show before. Like, it could be... being liminal is meaning that you're not here. You're neither here nor there. And you could apply that to a million different things. It could be that you're in the middle of a doorway walking through, and then you're in a liminal space for that second you're walking through the doorway. You could be kind of on the outs with a partner or something where you're neither here nor there.
Yeah.
That's a liminal space as well. So any of those spaces, people have a theory that that's a hotbed for paranormal things to happen.
That's interesting.
So stairs are liminal spaces because they're a transition from one place to another. Being lost is a liminal space because you're lost from your group, whatever, but you're not really lost. You are somewhere, so it's liminal. So maybe it's a combination of those liminalities in the same region causes
maybe
something.
You're on the threshold of something,
Right.
obviously, right? Like you are neither here nor there to a certain degree, so who knows what it means.
Right.
You know, I've got a theory that I've certainly talked about on the show before. I've got this loosey-goosey, doofy theory that, like, anytime you hear about somebody sharing a ghost story, it's usually like, me and Mildred were on vacation. We were in our hotel room. I was packing to go out to the beach, and we heard a ghost.
Yeah.
And then ghost shows go in, and they set up cameras and microphones going like, hey, ghost. It's like, no, well, the ghost didn't react to people addressing them directly before. The ghost, you know, made itself known when people were distracted otherwise. Maybe if you focus on it, you don't get to see it.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe ghost shows never find anything because they're looking for it.
Yeah.
You've got to be...
It's not liminal.
You've got to be occupied otherwise. You don't need to have your mind focused on it. So we've got a listener, Kat, who sent us some books to our P.O. box.
Yeah.
And I started reading one of them, which was The Blue Nose Ghosts, I think it was called. And it's based in Canada, or an old Canadian ghost story book. And there was this passage in it that I really liked. It's one sentence. It is an old belief that you will never see a ghost if you are looking for one.
Yeah.
And I immediately highlighted it and posted it. Now, I don't believe in ghosts, but I do enjoy this theory as pure entertainment.
Yeah.
And seeing it be in like an older book really spoke to that. And you talking about liminal spaces just now really made me think, like, is there theoretically some sort of a power to places that are neither here nor there?
That's
that are
a theory.
in between. It's interesting.
Totally.
Okay, part 4. So part 4 continues with the story of the stairs, and I think starts to explain some of the threat of them here. So Carrie is in the woods with now, I believe, a rookie. So Carrie is training a rookie, or walking around with a rookie. The rookie is obsessed with talking about the goat man, this other paranormal topic, the goat man, which we talked about in Guide to the Unknown 124. But then they get around to talking about the staircases. And they start really making a case for them as being, something of like a portal.
Yeah.
But a very dangerous, like blood-soaked portal. Evidently, they talk about how somebody lost their hand reaching out at the top of the stairs. They didn't even find the hand. It's like the hand just went to somewhere else.
Oh,
They
man.
just had no hand anymore, as if it just fell off the second that they reached through. Made me think of like lightsabers in Star Wars. Like they just cut cleanly
Oh,
through,
yeah.
and now you just don't have a hand anymore. It happened that quickly.
Right.
And how there was another lady who stepped on the stairs and got a burst blood vessel in her brain, and died before she even hit the ground. There's a whole thing in here about how the, quote, the Forest Service is tired of having such a massive turnover rate. They want people to know, they wanted people to know what they were getting into by joining the search and rescue team. So they started having people sign agreements that they wouldn't go to the media about anything they see. The Forest Service didn't want to scare people away, so the last thing they needed were spooked rookies running off to the media with stories of ghosts and haunted stairs. But eventually they found that the agreements weren't necessary. People not only didn't want to talk about what they saw, they wouldn't talk about what they saw. They would change. They just would not address the stairs.
Yeah.
Even if they saw it, people would reflexively avoid talking about the stairs. A few times, media tried to talk to people when kids or hikers would disappear, and no one would say a word. I can't really explain it. I guess we just don't want to admit anything is wrong. So it also almost plays as if, now, this is all described by Carrie here as if it's a choice you're making not to talk about it. But if no one ever really brings this up or they don't stay on topic for very long, it's almost like, have you ever tried to think about your own death? And all of a sudden your mind just like, you try to think, like, imagine what it's like to be dead. And then you can feel your mind going like, oh, what do you want for dinner? Like,
No.
You've never done that before?
No.
Try it. If you try to think about not existing, you'll find that almost like running into an invisible barrier. You're just redirected back onto something of substance. Even if it's totally mundane. It's like your mind can't go there. You can't see beyond.
Yeah.
And it made me think of that. Like, they literally cannot dwell on this for too long.
Right.
And then here's a quote from the end, which I really enjoyed. Because they talked about the stairs and everything. We were both quiet for a little while. I was afraid to talk because I wasn't sure if he was done. He looked like he wanted to say something else about the stairs. Finally, he spoke up again. Have you ever noticed that you can't find the same ones twice? I nodded, expecting him to continue. But he just stayed quiet, walking alongside me, and eventually he started a story about the biggest deer he'd ever seen in the park. I didn't bring up the subject again, and I didn't press him for any more stories. He dropped out the next day. I really enjoy the distracted quality of this. Like, you ever notice you never see the same ones twice?
Yeah, it's something
and then just
like
moving on.
Intercept.
Yeah, or just
know?
like it's one thing that's been nagging him. And he's like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just right. I'm not going to be here anymore.
Yeah.
This one in particular with the hand reaching through thing made me think of Cube 2 Hypercube.
Of course.
Naturally.
I know that our friends Bethany and Dennis watched that recently.
I was about to say. Well, they watched Cube. And then I asked
me.
if they'd seen Cube 2 Hypercube. And I think Bethany said she had, but should I go back or something? I was like, it's really up to you. I can't condone it.
I can't tell you what to do.
But they run into a thing. They call it a tesseract. But if you like reach, if it like comes across you, it almost just like peers through your skin, almost like you're seeing like a dissected version of yourself.
Okay.
So like if it crosses in front of my face, Kristen, you would start just seeing the inside of my skull. Almost like in a biology class having, a half of a dog up on a shelf.
Right.
It also made me think of course, the music video for 4 Minutes by Madonna.
Oh my God.
Featuring Timberlake and Timbaland.
Of course. Wait, real quick. Why are you thinking about bisected things?
Because of the person reaching through the staircase and their hand just disappearing.
Yep.
It's like cutting through you or something like that. Or by reaching through, you're reaching into a portal, but you're not completely going through.
Right.
So you're just severing your hand or something like that.
I can see why that would make you think of the video for 4 Minutes by Madonna featuring Justin Timberlake and Timbaland, because they're in like a black space pretty much the whole time.
We only got 4 minutes to save the world.
They're able to pass through different scenes. It's a very liminal area.
It's very weird, and there's this shimmering thing.
Yes.
It's very much like the Tesseract from Cube 2 Hypercube.
I've actually never seen Cube or Cube 2 Hypercube.
Oh, well, you got to watch them.
Sound like I do.
I guess you have to. I don't know. But in 4 minutes, this thing will just like pass through you and then just peel away your skin. Like you just start, it's not even peeling away your skin. No, it's almost like you're now just seeing inside the person's body. Right. So like it passes through two people kissing and you can see their disgusting tongues.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. You can see their disgusting tongues.
Nasty tongues.
Yeah.
So I guess we're in straight up Cube 2 Hypercube 4 Minutes with Madonna feet, Timbaland and Timberlake territory now.
Yeah.
With the search and rescue thread. We've come a long way.
We really have, man. All right, so before we go any further through this journey, let us talk to you about our sponsor, Tracy Michelle Bullock of SimplicityDoYourDream.com. So right now, there are a lot of people who are unemployed, unfortunately, who could be hearing this and they don't have a career path per se or know somebody in that position and are feeling a little bit lost about next steps. And Tracy can actually help you in those situations too. Career coaches aren't necessarily just for people who have careers at the moment. Mm-hmm. They can sort of like shuttle you through the process of finding one.
Honestly, she's like search and rescue for people that need to find their way through the business world or through startup world, dream world.
Yes.
Yeah. So here's what Hannah Baldovino, an executive project manager and client management specialist, had to say. She, Tracy Michelle Bullock, took time to understand my needs and goals. She offered ways to revamp my resume and cover letters. She even helped me through specific situations throughout my job hunting process, providing feedback and suggestions. Tracy was articulate and professional both in person and via email. I'd highly recommend working with her for anyone job hunting.
Yeah, so it's easy to feel really lost because there are 8 million jobs out
Yep.
there. And whether it's that you're not totally sure what job you want to go for or just advice on the interviewing process, whatever, it seems like Tracy would be a really, really great asset to help with
I
that.
think we all struggle with putting together a resume or trying to explain to people, here's who I am, here's what I've done, here's what I'm good at. It can be very complicated to, it's so funny. We live our entire lives doing these things day after day, but it can be then very hard to explain to somebody, here's what I can offer you. So honestly, you should be taking advantage of this situation.
You really should. And one of the things you can take advantage of for free is a 30-minute coaching call with Tracy. So you can book that either by DMing her through Instagram or going to her website. So starting couldn't be easier. It's free, and it might be just the jump start you need to really take you to the next level in your job hunting.
So go check out Simplicity, Do Your Dream, and make your appointment for career coaching. Go to @TracyMichelleBullock or www.simplicitydoyourdream.com. And just for Guide to the Unknown listeners, Tracy is offering 20% off your first month of coaching if you name drop GTTU Pod when you get in touch with her.
That's right. So go to @TracyMichelleBullock on Instagram. Michelle is with one L, or simplicitydoyourdream.com, and let Tracy know that Guide to the Unknown sent you for 20% off.
Bam.
Bam. All right. So now let's go into part 5 of these stories.
We're halfway through the woods.
That's right. We're almost there.
Yeah, you know how
Over
far
the
you
river
can,
and through them.
to grandmother's house.
Yeah.
You can only go halfway into the woods.
I know.
Because after that, you're walking out.
You're on your way out. That's right. Did you think you were going to trick me? I knew how it goes.
Okay.
One of your famous riddles.
Yeah. What was it? It was on Are You Afraid of the Dark was where I first heard that.
Oh.
It was Dr. Vim with the whatever his name
I don't
was.
know.
Yeah. Anyway.
It was definitely with a but I'm not sure.
Something with a but
Dr. Ving?
It definitely wasn't Ving. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Dr. Venkman.
Yeah, it was probably Dr. Venkman. Okay. So in part 5, Carrie is telling us that one of the people at their training operation reads no sleep, and that they recognized Carrie's stories.
Oh, we're getting into Scream 2 territory.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little meta.
Yeah.
Carrie said that he knows them pretty well. They've swapped stories before, so he read it and was like, I've heard that before. He asked if he could share something he's noticed about the stairs and some thoughts he had about them. So then here's a quote from Carrie's friend. I'm really glad you decided to share these, because basically he's saying he thinks it's important that people know that it's out there, especially since that the Forest Services do such a good job of covering it up and pretending it's not a thing. So he was almost saying Carrie's doing like a public service by putting this up on No Sleep. He said that he thinks it's really weird there's a lack of media attention on missing kids, bodies found miles from where they got lost in the first place. The weirdness of that isn't being talked about. So Carrie said that she doesn't remember him like mentioning this sort of thing being an issue before, and was surprised that he was talking about it, and asked him to elaborate on what he thinks is going on with the stairs. So he said, quote, well, there's the normal stairs, the ones that pop up when we're out a ways. I know you know about them, but sometimes I've run across ones that are flipped upside down.
Oh.
I guess it would be like if you had a dollhouse and the stairs were a separate piece. Now take that, flip it upside down so the top step is stuck in the dirt, and put it out in the woods. They're like that. I don't see them as often, but they're odd to say the least. It makes me think of footage taken after a tornado when houses are all blown apart and random things are left standing, like chimneys and garden walls. Those ones freak me out more than the normal ones because I can't really write those off as easily.
That's very weird.
Yeah.
It's weirder than, because like I started thinking, I was like, the more obvious route would be to say, we're so comfortable now in these stories about talking about staircases that go up.
Right.
What about a staircase that descends down into the earth? Like you're going downstairs, but arriving at nothing at the end. But
Right. No, rather
We're not
than
going
that.
obvious. We're going take a vertical going upstairs staircase and flip it upside down. So the top step is touching the ground.
Right.
But that's weirder because it's hard for me to visually imagine the underside of a staircase.
Well,
You know
I
what I
don't even
mean?
know if it means the underside. I mean, I guess you would.
Well, the underside would be pointing to the sky now.
Let me think.
Like,
Well,
what does the back
oh, yeah,
or
I
the
guess.
bottom of a set of stairs look like?
I don't know. Couldn't you just flip it so you're still seeing the upside, but it's upside down? So you're looking at it, you're still seeing the part that you would be walking on, but it's like not narrower, but I don't know. I can picture like just looking at a staircase that's normal out in the
Yeah.
woods and just flip it upside down in your
See,
image.
yeah.
So not front to back, just up and down.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But what if you walked around it? What does it look like
That's
from
the
the other
same
side?
case if it was the upright staircase the right way.
I guess that's true.
It's no
I guess that's
different.
true. Yeah, it's harder for me to mentally picture this one, I have to say.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird. So yeah, just very mysterious. Not only that, but he has had encounters with a man with no face
Ah.
while he's been out there. So he told them that he was looking for a rookie that went missing during a training weekend one time when he saw this weird dude, and he said that he could see the outline of this person because the water was reflecting from the moon, so it was like lit up a little bit, and it looked just like a normal guy at first. It was a guy with like a hiking pack on, and it looked from the reflection like he was facing me. This is now written as though he's telling it. I asked if he was okay, if he needed help, and he cocked his head like he didn't understand me. I always have my pocket knife on me, and it's got a little thumb light attached to it, so I turned that on and lit up his chest so I wouldn't blind him. He was breathing slow and deep, so I wondered if he was sleepwalking. I went closer and asked him again if he was okay. I moved the light up, and something didn't seem right, so I stopped. He kept breathing in this real slow, deep breaths, and I sort of figured gradually what was bothering me. It was like he was pretending to breathe, but not actually doing it.
What?
His breaths were too even and deep, and all his movements were exaggerated, like his shoulders going up and his chest moving. So he told this guy to identify himself, and he made a weird muffled noise. So he moved his flashlight up from his chest to his face, and he says, I SH you not, this guy had no face, just smooth skin, like that guy from Dick Tracy.
Yeah, smooth face. What
Smooth
was his name?
face.
No face?
I guess it's no face.
It was like, or was it like the Grunkest? Did it have like a name? Hold on, Madonna check
yeah.
again. Madonna.
Wow, we're talking about Madonna a
We
lot in
sure
this.
are. Yeah, she's in the ether.
And she
Madonna
talks
Dick
scary.
Tracy. Yeah, she was.
Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
It looks like this.
Did she
I
win
have
like an
got
Oscar
you.
for this?
No. She performed at the Oscars.
She played Breathless Mahoney.
Right. I could have told you that sans Google.
Could you?
But yes. But I don't. She released an album called like I Am Breathless Mahoney.
During one of her storylines, Breathless encounters B.O. Plenty, an unkempt hillbilly-like character who schemes to steal her money. What?
That doesn't happen in Dick Tracy, does it?
No, there's like a whole other. Well, Dick Tracy comes from
Well, no,
like,
oh,
comics
yeah,
and
I
stuff, so
know.
I think it was summarizing that somewhere. But
Yeah.
ew, B.O.
B.O. Plenty.
Plenty. Oh boy, I can't tell if I'm getting way more interested or losing interest in this Dick Tracy pursuit.
I don't know. He might not even have a face.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, a name. He definitely doesn't have a face.
I definitely think it was a character called like No Face or something.
Maybe. I don't know, but
Whatever.
it's just a smooth, it looks like a thing of silly putty atop shoulders.
Figured it out. She
What?
disguises herself as, quote, the blank,
The
a
blank.
vigilante criminal wearing a faceless mask.
Okay. Okay.
Don't care.
All right. So this guy ran into the blank. Just smooth skin. He says that he freaked out and he kind of fumbled his light and he saw this no face move toward him, like start to move toward him, but he didn't actually move. He says, I don't know how to explain it, but 1 second he was at the edge of the river and the next he was 5 feet from me. Maybe he's saying he didn't move.
Right.
I never looked away or blinked. It was like he moved so fast my brain couldn't keep up.
Cool.
I tripped and fell on my ass, and I could see this line open up on his throat.
My ass.
Ow, my ass!
Ouch, my ass.
I'm actually still dealing with the fallout of an ass fall like last year. Longtime listeners may remember that my back went all the way out last year, and it's like flaring up a little bit. And I went to the chiropractor yesterday, and I went to a new one like close to where I move, and he was asking me about my medical history and any injuries, and I was like, I fell on my butt in the woods because I didn't know whether to say ass or butt or rear. All right, anyway. Let me backtrack a little. So this guy tripped and fell on his ass, and I could see this line open up on his throat. It stretched up to his ears, and his head tilted back, and he smiled at me with his throat.
Ew.
There wasn't any blood, just this gaping dark hole, and I swear he smiled at me with this gash in his throat. I got up and ran as fast as I could back to the camp. I couldn't hear him following me, but I felt like he was always right behind me, even though I looked back and I couldn't see him. I calmed down when I got back to camp. The fire was still going, and I guess the pack mentality of being with other people made me stop and breathe a little. I waited by the fire to see if he'd follow me there, but I didn't hear anything else for a few hours, so I went back to bed. I know it sounds weird, but the whole thing was just so surreal that it was almost like I immediately wrote it off as my imagination.
Interesting.
Which I can totally understand.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 100%.
Yeah.
If you see something that just doesn't compute.
You're like, that just must not have happened.
Yeah. And like, I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about when we went to Universal and I got like crazy vertigo on a roller coaster, and like how after that I know I was being annoying, but I'd never had vertigo before. So I was walking around just going like, I feel like I'm high. I feel like I'm screwed up. I just feel like something's wrong. I couldn't put words to vertigo. I'd never had it before.
Right.
But it just made the entire world feel wrong.
Right.
I felt dizzy. I felt off kilter. It felt like nothing was real almost.
Yeah.
Like we're so fragile. If something happens that doesn't compute, or physiologically even a few things are out of whack, it can completely disrupt not only how you're feeling, but your perception of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And also just kind of like a defensiveness, at least for me. Like even now with my back, I
like a Cartman
my
impression.
It's my back, you guys.
I hate not feeling good, like not being able to do things. It makes me want to justify it all the time. Like if I have to ask Ryan to like get down and do something, I want to be like, it's this pain that like starts here and it like goes there. And like, I want to make sure he understands I'm not just faking this. I'm not nuts or whatever. It's so annoying. I'm annoying.
I used to work at a TGI Fridays, and I brought this couple to a table. Table, not a booth. I brought them to a table. And I was like, here you go, folks. You may sit here now. And there was a couple, and the woman turned to the guy, and she goes, I don't think I can sit here. And the guy goes, oh, well, it's fine, right? She goes, no, I can't sit here with my butt. And he was like, oh, right. Can we have a booth? He turned to me, and I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll go over here. But I played it out in my head over and over because she said it like it was going to be speaking in code to him. Like, I can't sit here under my breath with my butt. But it just made me go, what happened to her butt? What happened?
Yeah.
Maybe it was like this story. She fell and she went, my ass.
Ow, my ass. I guess like the booth is a little bit softer.
Oh, it definitely is. It absolutely is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the booths at TGI Fridays are like it's sitting on a cloud. But no, it definitely is softer, but it was just funny to even say in front of me, I can't sit here with my butt.
With my butt.
And I would be like, well, you're going to have to sit with your butt no matter where I take you. So just be prepared for that. Okay, part 6. So this one starts with Carrie talking about meeting somebody at a seminar, other search and rescue people. And so this is a story really from somebody else, a very potty-mouthed individual, I must say. So potty-mouth tells a story about how they'd gone out into the woods with their partner. Their partner walks away to take a piss.
Okay.
He says. Okay. So now this person is just standing alone.
Wait, what would you say to go to the bathroom? To go pee.
I have to go to the bathroom.
I guess I'd say my partner went to woods to pee.
If you're with somebody else in the woods and you have to pee, you lower your voice and go, I have to go to the bathroom.
No, but I'm thinking of this person relaying this to Carrie. Right. I would say, so my partner went into the woods to pee.
My partner, his teeth were floating.
Yeah. Ew.
So
I wouldn't say you went in the woods to take a piss.
No, I don't think I would say that. There are a bunch of things this person says that I wouldn't say. They also say
I remember this.
Butt F crazy.
I know.
Not F in.
I know.
Butt F crazy. Anyway, so here's they're standing now alone, and they can hear something happening in the woods. Not their partner.
About to say.
I know. Am I by a stream? I hear a trickle.
The wonder of nature.
A lovely brook must be nearby. No, they hear like sticks cracking over there, not in the partner's direction. Like something's coming toward them. So they're so nervous, they ready their
That
gun.
they go to the bathroom.
They start peeing.
Yeah.
It felt like I was in the stream.
Right.
My pants turned into my bathroom. So they ready their gun. And now here's a quote. I stand up and get my sights on where this thing is approaching, and I shrimp you not, man. I just about peed myself. There you go.
Okay.
They really
pee.
almost did, yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's coming toward me, and he's backflipping through the
This
woods.
is so scary. I remember this.
Like, instead of walking, he's doing all these crazy backflips. And I swear to God, he cleared every single log and bush in his path.
It's
like
Joker's henchman.
Yeah, yes, you're right. And it's as if he knew right where he was going. I yell at the guy to stop where he is, and I'm pointing the gun right at him, but he keeps coming at me, and I lost it. I shot at the ground in front of him. And it was a stupid thing to do, but man, I didn't want this guy anywhere near me. When I fired, he was about 50 yards away from me. As soon as the gun goes off, he just whirls around and goes off, backflipping back into the woods where he came from.
This is very scary.
That is basically the whole story.
Yeah, very scary.
Just a psychotic happenstance in the woods. Here comes somebody backflipping towards you, almost pointedly towards you. I'm coming to you. What is their motive?
This is one of the scarier stories to me.
I couldn't agree more. It's silly and it's stupid.
It's almost scarier for being silly and stupid.
I
Like, why are you
completely
so
agree.
overt? Why is this such a joyful motion?
What, you're just
where it
doing this
shouldn't
out
be?
here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why are you coming at me?
Why are you so good at this?
Yeah.
How is it that you're backflipping over rocks and logs and bushes perfectly? You like even the readying the gun thing is like either this guy shouldn't have this job because the sound of footsteps makes him draw his gun,
This is true.
or instantly something felt wrong.
Right.
This is not a person. This is something else.
Totally.
And it's registering to him as not, oh, someone's coming toward me and they're doing something weird. It's registering as something I don't understand is a threat to me and is focused on me right now.
Right.
Which is very scary. So here are a few
Absolutely.
things that made me think of. One, the way that I play sometimes when I'm playing Legend of Zelda. You can hit buttons and just backflip everywhere you go. Sometimes I do that.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. Two, there are some J horror stories I've noticed where sometimes somebody just like, is walking down the street strangely or in like a particular way, and that is like a defining characteristic for them as a monster. Which brings me to this. And this is, I'll have the link for everybody to go read this. I almost want to stop the show and just read the story to you. It's so great. It's called The Smiling Man.
Yeah.
It's another creepypasta. And what it basically amounts to is somebody is walking home alone at night. It's like 1 or 2 in the morning. And they see a man coming toward them on the street. Like they're going to pass each other on the sidewalk. But the man walking toward them is dancing. He's just smiling vacantly and doing this like box steppy like
Like
dance.
the Prancer size lady.
Like the what?
You know about Prancer size? It was like very popular. It was a meme a few years ago. There was a woman who uploaded videos on YouTube of something she called prancer sizing, and she says that it's good. I'm sure it is good exercise, but you just take a walk in your neighborhood, but you're just like prancing while you do it. And it's really weird. And I saw
Scary.
multiple times. I am not kidding. A woman prancer sizing on my way to work in Princeton.
Was it scary?
No, it was joyful. I would say it was joyful. It'd be like in the morning. It was like, it seemed like a younger gal. The prancer size woman looked like she's probably in her like 60s or something. This seemed like a chick who was just like taking a walk and listening to music and loving it. She'd just be like dancing while she's walking. And I was like, that is so weird, but also good for you.
Yeah.
The freedom.
If you saw
The
that
lack of self-consciousness.
yes, that's both impressive and to me still a little intimidating.
Yes.
If you saw that at night,
Oh, yeah.
wouldn't that be scary if just your
Yes,
high beams
yes.
illuminate it while you're driving?
Yes.
Otherwise you wouldn't see them.
Absolutely.
You know,
No, it was
there-
always first thing in the morning.
I don't know if you've ever seen this. Nearby us, this is true.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, it's true. So before you guys got the house where Mom used to live, so I was taking a left in Edison, New Jersey, off of 27. Pretty busy road around here. And on the corner, this is in the middle of the night. This is like 11:30. It's like pitch black, and it's just that my headlights illuminated him. There's a man dancing on the side of the road,
I have not seen that.
holding a giant white sign, almost the way that like they want people to hold the like going out of business signs and like dance around and spin them and stuff. But it's a homemade sign, and this man is dancing on the side of the road looking at traffic. So like looking at me as I drive by, and on the sign it's scribbling. The only thing that I could make out
Are you sure it wasn't Lasky and Stravoy?
it might have been Lasky and Strigoi. The only thing I could make out on the sign, DTF.
Oh, God.
I saw him twice.
You know what that means, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. After the truffle butter last week,
Kristen,
I just wanted to check in.
Don't say it again.
Sorry.
But, yeah, no, I saw him twice. And each time I was like...
Who's going to be DTF him?
I know. But each time I was like, I want to know more.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
considered, like, going around the block and coming back. Except it creeped... Like, I didn't want him to
No, that's
even...
scary.
I didn't want him to see me. You know?
That would
like,
make me, like, go through a red light and panic in the middle of the night.
It
Like,
was-
rather than just be next to, stopped,
It
that
was
guy.
scary. It was genuinely scary.
That's very scary.
But so the Dancing Man Creepypasta, which once again, link in the show notes. So this guy's dancing toward the person on the street, and they just kind of like make way for them on the sidewalk. Dancing Man dances past them, no problem.
Right.
They don't have any interaction. But it's still weird. Now the Dancing Man's behind this person. So like, ew, like, where are they? So they look back, nowhere to be seen.
Oh.
Dancing Man has disappeared until they look across the street and notice that almost impossibly quickly, now he's crouched across the street staring at them. And even though they're making eye contact, Dancing Man starts tiptoe creeping toward them like a Looney Tune.
Yeah.
You know what I
no.
mean? But making direct eye contact and coming toward them. And the person's like, oh my God. Dancing Man stops about a car length away. But is just
Car
looking...
length?
Yeah.
That's too close.
Oh, it's very close. But is looking straight up, smiling, isn't looking at the person. And then the person just goes, wants to say, what are you doing, back off, but goes, what? Like their voice gets caught in their throat.
Uh-huh.
And eventually the Dancing Man just turns around and dances away again. And so the person keeps walking. And then they look back over their shoulder again. And the Dancing Man has stopped, looks at them, and then just starts running after them as fast as he possibly can. So the guy, the protagonist of our story, just starts running as well to get away. That's basically where the story ends. I guess
That's
they get away.
horrible.
But it's genuinely scary.
That's extremely
so
scary.
You can't even begin to understand what this person's doing out here. And I think, I genuinely think that this story, the part 6 of Search and Rescue, is taking inspiration from the Smiling Man.
Yeah.
In a way that is now making this Creepypasta series almost be the encapsulation of famous creepypastas in a good way.
Yeah.
Again, in almost like a Scream way, in a referential, reverent way, but with a new twist.
Right.
Backflipping, can't even see where they're going, and yet they're coming for you.
Yeah.
Very scary.
Weird. That reminds me a little bit, I think that I've talked about it on the show, but I'm not 100% sure, of, it reminds me of the guy who lived across the street from me when Ryan and I lived on Cedar, who had a problem with me for some reason. There was one time that I was walking Crumbs, our dog, and I saw this guy who lived across the street from us just like stopped by my car, which was down the block, and it seemed like he was looking at my back windows. And I was like, what the hell is that? And I figured, like, I guess when I get up there, I'll ask him, like, what the deal is. But I got closer, and when I got closer, I realized he was standing with his hands at his sides, like, fists clenched and eyes closed, but, like, by my car and kind of looking at my car. And I was like, whoa. So I was
facing
like,
your car, not
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
at it.
Yes.
Like standing as if he would be looking at your car, but just eyes clenched tight, everything tight.
Yeah.
Like balled up fists.
Yeah.
Eyes
It's like-
pinched closed.
like he was cursing my car or
Yeah.
something. So I was just like, oh, never mind. So I just like kind of like gave it a wide berth and like went home. And then not super long after that, there was a gas station that was on the corner of the street that we lived on. And I was waiting to pull out of the gas station onto the street to go home. And the guy was, I mean, I didn't know who was coming, doesn't matter, but like it ended up being the guy was coming around the corner. So I didn't go. I waited for him to pass. So then I would go after him. And he slowed down and looked right at me and gave me the finger. And I was like, what? I'd never spoken to this man before. And
Something not right, yeah.
no. And I pulled in at home and I was like, okay, I'll wait until he gets out of his car and goes in his house for me to go in because this is like very weird. And he never got out of the car. So I called mom and dad, and I was like, I told them the situation. I was like, can I come over for a while? Because I just don't want to get out of the car right now. Because I was afraid I was going to get out of the car and the guy was going to like bum rush me or something.
Yeah, you don't know.
No, it was very weird.
Such unpredictable, odd behavior. Which,
Yeah.
listen, everybody's got their own stuff.
Yeah, totally. No, I mean,
So
something
who
was going
knows?
on, but
Something
it was
was going
scary.
on, but yes, absolutely.
All right, so let's bring us back to a different kind of scary. This
Sure.
is part 7 of the search and rescue
I do
thread.
like what this is bringing out of us, though. This
Yeah.
is the first time on this show in a while that I've like felt reveled in the creepiness myself during the show.
Yeah.
Like I've been getting a little creeped out here and there
creepy.
thinking about these things.
Totally. Okay, so this part is structured as kind of like a bunch of friends trading stories out at dinner one night who are all part of this, different search and rescue teams. So one of the friends told a story about camping with their family and said that the way that the camp was set up was an area where it gets really hot in the summer, but the water is still really cold, which they said was important to the story. So they looked over their shoulder at their camping area and they could see something wading into the river on the other side. And from where we were, this is quoting them now, it looked like a deer, but we couldn't really tell because of the campfire. I got up to look closer and I saw a pair of antlers, so I figured it was a buck. But I thought it was weird that it was wading into the water and it was definitely heading for us. So they asked their friend what they thought they should do. And the friend was looking at the fire with this weird expression and tells them to sit down and shut up. So they do, because they'd never seen this guy act that way before. Like, why is he just being like, just shut up, sit down, don't do anything? And he both whispers at the person to ignore it, and he just starts talking like they were having normal conversation before about like the TV show that he was really into at the time. So it seemed like he was trying to play it cool, act like you didn't see it, ignore it, and it'll hopefully go away. But it was really confusing because it seemed like he knew what it was in some way, even if it's bad. But the person telling the story is like, I have no idea what the hell is going on. But this thing is still just getting closer and closer as the friend is just talking about their show that they like. So then they say, quote, it wasn't that tall, but the way it carried itself was just wrong. Like its center of balance was screwed up. I can't really describe it, but it was kind of like it kept shifting too far forward. It just stood there behind my friend for a long time, and eventually my friend ran out of things to say, and we just kind of sat there for a second. The fire was making noise, but I thought I could hear this thing talking in a really low voice. I couldn't hear what it was saying, but I leaned forward a tiny bit, and I actually did pee my pants when it leaned forward too.
Ooh.
I couldn't see its face, but I saw its eyes. They were milky and cloudy, and if you want to know what they looked like, find that scene from Lord of the Rings where Frodo falls in that lake and all the dead people are floating toward him.
Okay.
That's what its eyes looked like. So all I saw were these two white eyes floating above my friend and this really vague shape of antlers coming out of its head. And then they and their friend decided to just book it out of there at the same time. Like they just kind of silently to each other did like a 1, 2, 3, go. And they both decided to haul ass. They just ran nonstop until they got back to the main camp. Their pants were soaked with pee. So they took
so much clarifying that there's pee in their pants.
I know. So they took them off as they were running away and threw them in the bushes.
As they were running?
Yes. So
What?
The dexterity. Think about it. To be a search and rescue ranger, you must have a certain degree of physical prowess.
Search and rescue rangers.
Chippendale.
Soaking
Search
in
and
pee.
rescue. So they said that they both stopped once we were in front of my dad's RV and we could see that nothing was chasing us, so they stood and caught their breath. I asked him what the thing was, but he said he didn't know. He said his grandpa had only warned him that if anything ever came up to him when he was out in the desert, he was never ever supposed to talk to it or listen to it or do anything with it. I want to know if he'd heard it talking too, and he said the only thing he'd been able to understand was help you.
Oh.
So then it said they go on to say that this reminds them of the legend of Wendigos.
Yeah.
And that there's a phrase used to describe it that they think fits it perfectly, which is that the Wendigo is the spirit of the lonely places. Which is an interesting thought. And they said that sometimes when they're out in the woods in the course of their job, and they know that there's no one around them for miles and miles, that they get a weird kind of craving that they can't really explain. They don't know if it happens to anyone else, but it's this desire to consume. And they said, quote, "It's not like I crave anything particular, but more of this weird, distracting hunger that comes from every part of my gut." So
That's bizarre.
super weird, almost like some sort of like spirit of the Wendigo takes them
Yeah.
over, is what they're saying. They're
Right.
feeling this same sort of feeling. Very weird.
That's almost the weirdest one of them in a way. It feels
Yeah.
so odd.
I know.
I don't know. Yeah, that's very weird.
I know.
Well, I've got the last one here, part 8. And this is honestly, some of it's just a sign off
Yeah.
from Carrie Hammond. But the crux of the actual scary story is this. A sweet little couple are out in the woods using their binoculars. And they stare through them to see a man rock climbing. He's like miles away, but they're zooming in on this man who's rock climbing. But hold on. Something's weird about the way this man off in the distance is climbing this rock.
Like no gear.
He has no gear. He's just climbing. He's just
I
climbing a
did
mountain.
read this. Yeah.
He gets to the top, turns, and somehow makes instant eye contact with the couple.
The way I picture the zooming in of this is like in Spider-Man, where they like zoom in on things
Yeah.
while Spider-Man's like swinging around the city. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So, quote, "When the climber reached the top of the peak, which was about 5 miles away, they turned and faced the young man. He said whoever or whatever this person was looking right at them. The climber waved in an exaggerated manner before snapping in half at the waist sideways
Sideways. What does that mean?
and leaping off the peak."
Snapping in half the. So yeah,
I had no mental image for this.
I guess it's that your waist bisects and then you go to the left or something.
Or is it snapping in half, not vertically, horizontally?
But at the waist?
Snapping in half at the waist, sideways. You're right. It doesn't make sense. I find it very puzzling. Anyway,
Puzzling to say the
this
least.
mountain climber falls apart, and it says falls apart and before snapping in half at the waist sideways and leaping off the peak. So he snaps in half and then jumps. But
Maybe
if your
he uses his
lower
top half, his hands, whoa, and then the lower half like kicks off.
Isn't it just so weird? It's hard to imagine.
It's incredibly
But
weird.
the part that I like about it, one, is that
It seems certainly scary, but less threatening.
Less
Like
threatening.
you've just seen an extremely, extremely weird, distreming thing, but at least it's not coming for you.
and he waved,
Howee!
howdy, almost
Yeah.
like, watch this.
Yeah.
Snap. Woo! Aye! What I like about this, though, is the idea that this couple called this into the park
Yeah,
rangers, which
yeah.
is why we're hearing the story, because
Yes.
Carrie got the call. So Carrie says, yeah, we'll look into it. Thanks for calling, but doesn't bother because she's like,
What are you gonna look into?
people see this guy all the time.
Oh my god!
So he's constantly doing this. He's just always doing
He's
this.
having a bit of fun, I guess.
But I also love, and we just sort of talked about this, but I love that they're watching this guy and he instantly knows where they are.
Right.
The attentiveness,
Yeah.
the somehow knowing
Yeah,
of
knows
these
right where to
spirits
turn.
is so creepy to me.
Totally.
Made me think of this, and it's very weird. A different kind of goat man.
Okay.
So I first heard about this in episode 120 of the podcast Tell 'em Steve Dave, where they were talking about Walt Flanagan, who runs Kevin Smith's comic book store in Red Bank, or used to, was talking about a news article he saw about how somebody was out in the woods and saw a herd of goats, I believe, and was like, one of them seems weird. And so looked through binoculars and realized that's a person dressed like a goat.
What?
Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
So on Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Is this real?
This is absolutely real, and I have a link
Oh my god.
from Time
Wow.
magazine. Goat man frolicking through the Utah wilderness identified as a hunter. So Walt Flanagan's point was, they were like, how scared would you be if you're in the woods and now you just realize that there's a human dressed like an animal with a herd of wild animals?
What was this guy doing?
Well, I'll get to that.
Okay.
But Brian Johnson on the show says, I don't care how far away I am. The second that he turns and looks at me, I think to myself, oh no. Like, it's already,
God,
you've
yeah.
already lost. He's going to get you. Even if you're miles away.
Yes.
It's already too late. He knows that you're
His
out there.
sights have been set on you.
So here's the article. It's not uncommon for hunters to use camouflage, but usually such outfits are made to blend in with the surrounding foliage, not the animals. One hunter in Utah had a different idea. He donned a to better track his targets. On July 22nd, a hunter quickly dubbed Goatman was spotted clamoring around the mountains in northern Utah following a herd of goats. At first, officials were baffled and worried. They were concerned Goatman could be in danger once hunting season starts. A hunter saw this Goatman out there. It was a simple hooded painter's suit, which had been adorned with fleece to give his costume a fur-like appearance. He said he was testing the suit in preparation for an upcoming goat hunt in Canada.
What?
Yeah. Officials said he wasn't only in danger of being mistaken for prey by a hunter, he might have been attacked by one of his fellow goats.
Is this real?
This is Kristen.
No, but is this guy's story real? What's going on?
Is he dressed like a goat for hunting?
Yeah.
I don't know if this story is real.
Yeah.
This is the goat man's claim of
He
why
was
he's dressed like a goat.
practicing for a Canadian goat hunt?
Oh, I can explain. I'm pretending to be a Canadian goat.
I don't know.
I don't know about this. So officials say he might have been attacked by one of his fellow goats, saying, quote, "They may get agitated. They're territorial. They are, after all, wild animals. This person puts on a goat suit, he changes the game." The agreement may be broken here, Kristen. Don't you understand? This person puts on a goat suit, he changes the game. Basically, what this person is saying...
Changes the game, all right.
He's saying, it's unprecedented. We don't know what happens to you if you dress like a goat and try to join a herd of goats.
Oh, man.
We have no idea. The sighting of the goat man occurred 40 miles north of Salt Lake City when a hiker saw a herd of goats about 200 yards away and thought one of them looked a bit weird. "I thought maybe he was injured," the hiker, 33-year-old Cody Creighton, told the Associated Press on Friday. After looking through his binoculars, he saw something very odd indeed. A man in fake horns and a cloth mask with eye holes. He need the full mask? I guess you do need the mask. You can't just have a human head on a goat body.
What's going on?
Traipsing around with four-legged ruminants. What? "I thought, what is this guy doing?" Creighton said. He was actually on his hands and knees. He was climbing over rocks and bushes and pretty rough terrain on a steep hillside.
Oh, my
Creighton said the
God.
man pulled up his mask once in a while to check where he was going. Then he spotted Creighton, staring at him from afar. He just stopped in his tracks and froze, he said. Creighton retreated behind a tree and started taking photos, while the goat man pulled his mask on and scrambled to catch up with the other goats. "We were the only ones around for miles," Creighton said. "It was real creepy."
Oh, my God.
Creighton provided the Division of Wildlife Resources with blurry photos of a white blob scaling a steep mountainside. When the sighting was reported in local media, wildlife officials received an anonymous call from a so-called, quote, agitated man who said, "Leave Goatman alone. He's done nothing wrong." The end.
What?
The end.
Oh, my God.
True story.
What the hell was going on?
I don't know. I honestly...
I wonder if I can find out.
What
Is
do
there
you-
any way, just internet sleuthing?
We're going to Utah.
What was going on?
See, in Salt Lake City.
I feel it's not as simple as this. I wonder if Goatman did any local radio, and I can find out his name, and then
It
I can
has been a
find
while
out,
now.
Find out his Facebook and
It's been a little bit.
find all kinds of stuff.
Now, I haven't listened back to this Tell 'em Steve Dave, but I do remember getting a real funny creeped out feeling from them telling the story. So I'll link to that as well.
My.
But here's the sign off
Yeah.
from Carrie Hammond in this part 8. "Thank you all for sticking by my side and enjoying the things I've talked about. If you go out into the woods, I encourage you to be safe. Bring water, food, survival equipment,
Berries.
berries. Let people know where you're going and when you'll be back. Don't go on uncharted paths unless you know exactly what you're doing. And above all, don't touch them, don't look at them, don't go up them."
That's cool.
Great sign off.
Yeah.
Great sign off.
That's awesome.
Very fun
Yeah.
series here.
Very cool.
Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed looking at this.
I know. People were right.
Yeah,
The
they were
people
right.
were right. So thank you very much, Brittany, and everybody else who suggested this.
Thank you,
to
Brittany.
us,
Happy
sent it
birthday,
to us.
Brittany.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, really, really odd and interesting.
Totally.
Couple last things.
Yeah.
So for the last year, I've been working on the Blair Witch box series that Hunt a Killer is doing with Lionsgate. And I do media a lot, so I directed a video, I've done a lot of audio design, so I have gone into the woods a good deal in the last year to get sound effects or to look for filming locations.
Yeah.
And I have frequently gone off the beaten path. I think I told you this, I don't remember if I told you this on a show or in a live version of the show or whatever, but I went off the beaten path and found black garbage bags
Yeah.
with just stuff in them.
Yeah.
I've found all manner of stuff. Here's the other thing. I was doing some work at 2:30 in the morning
Yep.
in Rutgers Gardens.
Yep.
I kept wanting to like be able to step outside myself from filming to be like, I want to pay attention to this moment. I want to pay attention to what it sounds like in the woods at 2:30 in the morning. But we were just so busy. We were working.
Yeah.
But we did have a guide with us who had a cart. It's like a golf cart, basically. A big, chunky park ranger's cart. We put a ton of props on it. We had pizzas on it. We had drinks on it. And periodically he would drive somebody back out to the entrance because we were like 20 minutes into the woods in the middle of nowhere. He would drive them away and then we'd be like, "Oh, we need this prop. Where's the guy with the cart?" Be like, "Oh, all right, I think he drove away, so he'll probably be back in 10 minutes." And then we would just hear, "I'm right here." And he'd be 5 feet to the right of you. You can't hear the cart.
Yeah.
So frequently, I would just, when I knew he was supposed to come back, I would just shine my flashlight through the woods.
And wait for him to enter.
He didn't
the beam.
he wouldn't put the high beams on. He wouldn't put the headlights on the truck. He just knew where he was going so well.
Oh my god.
And the thing didn't make any sound. So at one point, I had everybody around me. We were just waiting for the guy to come back. And I went, "He's right there. Everybody look at this. Everybody just stop what you're doing and look at this. Look at how scary this is."
Yeah.
Because this cart is just driving toward us, but it's only reflecting little bits of light. You couldn't even realize that it was a cart. It
Right.
was just a thing moving through the trees silently, weaving its way toward us.
Very weird.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
The scariness of the woods.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was so tired at the time. I'm already nostalgic for it.
Yeah.
I
of
already
course.
want to go back into the woods and film something.
Yeah.
Anyway, go get the Hunt a Killer Blair Witch box. I'm in love with
Yes.
it. I'm still in love with it. huntakiller.com/Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Enjoy our work. You can hear us in there.
Yes, you can.
Kristen and I are in it. Kristen's frequently in it.
We play podcasters.
We do. Okay, everybody. Oh, go listen to Blackwood.
Yeah.
Blackwood's a show in the woods. Go listen to that show that I wrote, Blackwood. It's on all major podcast apps. Maybe we'll put a link in the show notes to that as well.
Yeah.
Go check that out if you haven't heard that before. It was my professional writing debut.
Yeah.
All right,
Right.
everybody.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Please go check out patreon.com/GTTUpod if you'd like to get more of us and support the show at the same time and keep it going.
Yeah.
If you join at the $4 level, which is the Netherworld Warrior tier, then you get a bonus episode per month that comes out on the 13th of every month. This month it'll be a Friday the 13th, which is always fun. There's a Discord with other Patreon people in it that's popping off every day. So you can kind of like make internet friends or just talk about movies that you like and get suggestions. It's a really, really awesome place.
Share your own scary stories.
Yeah, totally. And as I mentioned, we're doing a live stream if you're listening in real time today, Friday, August 6th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be planning out the next month of shows, and we do that monthly as well, only over on patreon.com/GTTUpod.
Basically, we're at the end of the show, but the party doesn't have to stop.
No.
Stay in the world of Guide to the Unknown.
No, there are like a zillion hours of things over on Patreon
Yep.
that you can experience.
And stay in the world of the Search and Rescue series, because Kristen and I have only really truncated
Yes.
the 8-part series and given our thoughts on it. You should go and read the full thing. Link in the show notes. And my understanding is that there are a lot of other stories that are in this sort of universe of tales written by Carrie Hammond. So you should absolutely go check them out. I will be doing the same because honestly, after reading just the 4
Yeah.
that I read, I'm like, yeah, I want more of this.
It's awesome.
But yeah, that's it from us, everybody. If you want more of the two of us, reach out to us online.
That's right. I'm at Chillin' Kristen.
I am at The Myth Traveler. So thank you all again. We will see you next week for more scary stories. But until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the Netherworld go we.
Back to the wood.
Back to the wood.
The deep wood.
Yes.
What was that sound?
The crack of a stick.
And nothing more.
We're fine.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The crack of a stick. What was that sound? The crack of a stick.